You know that exact moment, like when you get a massive promotion or you suddenly master a skill you've been grinding at for
Oh,
months,
absolutely.
and you get this incredible rush. It's this absolute intoxicating feeling that you are, frankly, untouchable.
Right. It's a very specific surge of adrenaline and ego, really. Suddenly, the limits that apply to everyone else in the room, well, they just don't seem to apply to you anymore.
Exactly. You feel like you've completely transcended the normal rules.
Yeah, you're riding high.
Ah.
Completely invincible.
But usually, the higher that initial high, the more catastrophic the crash back down to earth is. And here's what is so wild about that. The ancient Greeks actually had a very precise formula for this psychological crash.
They really did. They absolutely nailed the psychology of it.
Yeah, looking at our sources today,
Yeah.
specifically four classic adventures drawn from Edith Hamilton's translations of ancient writers like uh, Ovid, Pindar, and Apollodorus, it is terrifying how accurately they diagnose the exact moment ambition turns into self-destruction.
We often dismiss these stories as just, dry mythology, but they are actually intense case studies on the intoxicating nature of power.
Right.
They show us the mechanics of what happens when we get a little too big for our boots.
So welcome to your custom-tailored deep dives.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to explore the disastrous consequences of acting like a god when you are very much immortal.
It's a dangerous game.
Okay, let's unpack this by looking at a scenario you've probably witnessed firsthand. Someone demanding a position of power they are in no way equipped to handle. And in our sources, no one embodies this better than Phaethon.
Oh, Phaethon. Yeah, his story, as told by Ovid, is a brilliant study in the blinding nature of ambition. And I mean, blinding, quite literally.
Literally blinding, yeah.
The story starts at the Palace of the Sun, which is an environment designed to just completely overwhelm mortal senses. There is no twilight, no darkness at all. It is perpetually high noon, shining with gold and gleaming ivory.
The environment itself is almost like a filter, right? Keeping the weak out.
Exactly. The text explicitly notes that very few mortals could even endure that unchanging brilliancy.
Yet here comes Phaethon. He's mortal on his mother's side, but he just pushes right through those burnished doors into the blazing throne room.
And he instantly has to stop, because the light is literally burning his eyes.
Which, it prompts a surprisingly tender moment. The sun god actually takes off his burning crown so the boy can look at him without going blind.
Yeah, it's a very humanizing detail for a cosmic entity. He asks Phaethon why he has made this massive journey.
And Phaethon's reason is painfully relatable. He's a teenager,
Yeah.
and he's being bullied at school.
Right, of course.
The other kids are mocking him, refusing to believe his dad is the literal son, so he wants undeniable proof. He basically asks, "Are you really my father?"
And the sun god confirms it, but he makes a fatal parenting error here. To prove his love, he tells Phaethon he can ask for absolutely anything he wants.
Anything at all.
Anything. And to seal the deal, he swears by the river Styx.
And Phaethon, like any reckless kid, immediately weaponizes this promise. He demands the keys to the ultimate sports car.
He wants to drive the sun's flaming chariot.
For a single day, which is insane.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism of that Styx oath. You might wonder, why doesn't the sun god just say no once he realizes it's a terrible idea?
Right, just take it back.
Well, in ancient Greek cosmology, swearing by the river Styx isn't just a strong promise, it is the fundamental rule of law for the universe. The gods possess infinite chaotic power.
So they need rules.
Exactly. The only thing preventing them from destroying reality is their rigid adherence to absolute oaths. So the real failure here isn't just Phaethon's youthful ignorance.
It's the danger of a rigid system.
Yeah, the sun god is trapped by the very cosmic laws that give him his authority.
But he tries to logically explain the mechanics of the danger to his son. He explains the steep climb, the dizzying drop. He warns him that his own divine horses barely tolerate his control.
He even points out the literal monsters in the sky. The constellations of the bull, the lion, the scorpion, the crab.
But Phaethon's risk assessment centers are completely shut down by his ego. He just pictures himself looking cool.
He fundamentally misunderstands what power is. He thinks sitting in the driver's seat makes you the driver.
So the horses are yoked, and he takes off. And at first it works. He gets that rush. He outstrips the east wind.
But it doesn't last.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
To put this into perspective for you listening, this is the cosmic equivalent of letting a 15-year-old with a learner's permit drive a Formula One car.
That's a great way to put it.
Except, the collateral damage is the literal planet Earth. The horses instantly realize the hands on the reins are feeble. They realize there's no weight in the chariot.
That's the crucial detail right there. The power itself, the horses rebels when it senses incompetence.
They just know.
Yeah, they veer wildly off course. They nearly smash into the scorpion, and Phaethon just drops the reins in pure panic.
The chariot plunges down, and the world literally catches fire. Mountains burn. The rivers turn to steam. The text even says the River Nile fled and hid its head.
Which was the mythological explanation for why its source remained undiscovered for so long.
Right. And Mother Earth actually screams out to the gods because the heat is melting her.
It forces Jove, the king of the gods, to intervene. He has to hurl a thunderbolt, shattering the chariot and killing Phaethon instantly just to save reality.
Phaethon falls from the sky, entirely on fire, plunging into a river. The local water nymphs, the naiads, they bury him.
And his sisters, the Heliades, come to mourn him. They turn into poplar trees whose tears become amber. It's a beautifully tragic image.
It really is. And a stark reminder that demanding a status you haven't earned basically guarantees a crash.
Absolutely.
Right. So Phaethon fails because he's totally incompetent. But that raises a terrifying thought for the high achievers listening to this. What if you actually have the skills?
What if you are competent?
Exactly. What if you can handle the chariot? Does pure competence protect you from the crash? Let's look at our next source, Bellerophon.
Bellerophon operates on a completely different level than Phaethon. He's incredibly capable. Many believed he was the son of Poseidon, and he has this immense ambition.
He wants a flying horse.
Right, he wants to tame Pegasus, the magical winged horse whose hoof strike actually created the Muses' Hippocrene spring.
But Bellerophon doesn't just demand it from a parent like a spoiled kid. He follows the rules. He goes to a seer who advises him to sleep in Athena's temple.
And he does. And the goddess leaves him a magical golden bridle.
He finds Pegasus, the bridle works flawlessly, and boom, he is lord of the air.
But his competence immediately gets tested by a classic mythological trap, the host-guest paradox.
Oh, this part is wild.
Through an accident, Bellerophon has to go to King Proetus to be purified. While there, the king's wife, Antea, falls for Bellerophon.
And he rejects her.
He does. Furious, she tells her husband Bellerophon assaulted her and must die.
So Proetus wants to kill him, but he can't. Because in ancient Greece, before hotels or law enforcement existed, civilization relied entirely on the host-guest bond.
The rules of hospitality were sacred.
Sacred. If you ate at someone's table, Zeus would personally destroy you if you harmed them. So Proetus finds a loophole. He gives Bellerophon a sealed letter to deliver to the king of Lycia.
So Bellerophon delivers it on his flying horse. The Lycian king, honoring the exact same hospitality rules, entertains Bellerophon for 9 lavish days before finally reading the letter.
And the letter says, basically, kill the messenger.
Yeah. Now the Lycian king is trapped. He's just hosted this guy for over a week, so he sends Bellerophon on a suicide mission, assuming the monsters will do the dirty work for him.
He tells him to slay the chimera, which is this nightmare creature with a lion's front, a serpent's back, and a goat in the middle.
And breathing unquenchable fire.
Right. But the king's logic fails, because Bellerophon is genuinely exceptional. He doesn't fight the chimera on the ground. He hovers above it on Pegasus, entirely out of range of the flames, and just shoots it full of arrows.
He neutralizes the threat with perfect tactical precision.
The king tries again. Go fight the Seleni, a fierce tribe of warriors. Bellerophon wins. Go fight the Amazons. Bellerophon wins again.
Finally, the king just gives up, befriends him, and gives him his daughter's hand in marriage.
Okay, wait. I have to push back here. Based on everything we just laid out, Bellerophon did everything right.
He did. He was flawless.
He survived the false accusation. He respected the rules of hospitality. He utilized a massive technological advantage, Pegasus, to outsmart impossible assassination attempts. If you're crushing it that hard at your job, shouldn't you get to take a victory lap? Why is he punished?
This raises an important question about the psychological trap of success. You're right, he earned his status. But the mechanism of hubris doesn't just trigger from incompetence. It triggers when success shuts down our understanding of boundaries.
Oh, I see.
The poet Pindar writes that Bellerophon began to think, "Thought's too great for man." He mistook his extreme competence for literal divinity.
He tries to ride Pegasus straight up to Mount Olympus to take a seat with the gods.
Exactly. The gods will celebrate your greatness, but they will never tolerate rivalry. Bellerophon stopped seeing himself as a great human and started seeing himself as an immortal peer.
But notice the mechanics of his downfall. It isn't Zeus who strikes him down.
No, it's the horse. Pegasus refuses to fly into Olympus and bucks him off.
The magical beast understands the cosmic hierarchy better than the human genius does.
Right. Bellerophon survives the fall, but he is broken. He wanders alone, devouring his own soul until he dies, while Pegasus gets to live in the heavenly stalls.
Wow. It shows how quickly justified confidence morphs into fatal arrogance. But so far, we've talked about earning power or asking for it. What if you bypass all of that and just decide to take it by brute force?
That brings us to the giant twins, Otis and Ephialtes.
Yes, the giants.
The Allodae. And we need to clarify what a giant meant here. They weren't like deformed monsters. They were the tallest, most physically perfect men to ever exist, second only to Orion.
They were pure, unadulterated physical brawn, deeply devoted to each other and completely devoid of foresight.
Absolutely no foresight.
They are the mythological equivalent of a rogue AI. You know how a rogue AI has massive, terrifying processing power, but absolutely zero ethical programming or common sense? That's these two.
That's a perfect comparison. They decide they are superior to the gods, and their first move is to literally imprison Ares, the god of war.
They bind him in brass chains.
And they succeed. War itself is neutralized. The Olympians are so intimidated by this raw physical processing power that they don't even attack. They send Hermes to stealthily pick the locks in the dead of night.
Which, of course, just emboldens the twins. Next, they threaten to pick up Mount Pelion, this massive peak, and stack it on top of Mount Ossa just to build a staircase to heaven.
Poseidon, their father, has to beg Zeus not to nuke them with a thunderbolt, promising they'll stop.
And they do stop, but only because their chaotic programming finds a new target: kidnapping.
Yeah, Otis decides he wants to capture Hera, queen of the gods. Ephialtes thinks he's in love with Artemis, the goddess of the hunt.
And because they only care about each other, they draw lots to see who gets to hunt their prize first.
Ephialtes wins, so they target Artemis.
Now, Artemis could have called in the cavalry, but she doesn't.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Artemis's strategy is a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare. She recognizes that she cannot outmuscle them. If they are a rogue supercomputer, she doesn't try to outcompute them.
She introduces a virus.
Exactly. She introduces a fatal logical paradox to crash their system. She lures them across the sea to the wooded island of Naxos.
And right when they're about to catch her, she shapeshifts into a magnificent, milk-white, hinded deer springing into the forest.
The twins, driven entirely by impulse, completely forget their original goal and chase the beautiful animal. They lose it in the dense woods and separate to surround it.
And then Artemis perfectly positions the hind in an open glade right between the two brothers who are hidden in the trees on opposite sides.
They both see the target.
They both throw their javelins with all their unmatched, invincible strength.
And the hind magically vanishes into thin air.
The javelins fly straight across the empty space and pierce each brother. They kill each other.
It is brilliant. Artemis weaponizes their only two assets against them, their raw physical strength and their blind devotion to each other. She defeats raw power with pure intellect.
Which brings us to a terrifying realization and transitions us to our final source. If brainless brawn is doomed to destroy itself, well, what happens when the absolute pinnacle of human intellect tries to outsmart the rules?
What happens to Daedalus?
Exactly. What happens to Daedalus?
Apollodorus gives us the details on Daedalus. He is the ancient world's ultimate architect and inventor. He built the infamous labyrinth for the Minotaur on the island of Crete.
But when he helps the hero Theseus navigate that maze, King Minos figures it out. Minos realizes the only mind capable of beating the labyrinth is the one that built it.
So Minos locks Daedalus and his son Icarus inside the labyrinth.
Which is a brilliant irony. Daedalus' design is so perfectly complex that even he can't walk out of it without a guide.
But you can't trap pure intellect. Daedalus analyzes the variables, Minos controls the land and the sea, but the air is unguarded. So Daedalus basically invents aviation.
He builds 2 pairs of wings out of feathers and wax-based glue.
And as they stand on the edge, about to jump, Daedalus gives his son a highly specific scientific warning. Keep a middle course.
Don't fly too low, because the moisture from the sea spray will weigh the feathers down. And whatever you do, don't fly too high, because the sun will melt the glue.
It's perfect logic. But Daedalus failed to account for human psychology. The moment Icarus takes off, the sheer euphoria of defying gravity, of possessing a power that previously belonged only to the gods, it completely overrides his father's logic.
He ignores the warnings and soars upward. Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about the first story we told today. The sun god doomed his son Phaethon by giving him access to divine power.
Right.
Daedalus does the exact same thing. Daedalus' unmatched genius, his ability to build these impossible wings, is exactly what kills Icarus. The gift of flight is the curse that destroys him.
That is a brilliant parallel. The older generation understands the physical limits of reality, but when they hand over revolutionary new capabilities to a younger generation that hasn't earned that wisdom, well, the warnings are drowned out by the thrill.
Icarus flies too high. The heat melts the wax, the feathers scatter, and he plunges into the sea.
Daedalus survives the flight, though. He makes it to Sicily. But King Minos is relentless, and Minos knows he can't track Daedalus physically, so he decides to track the signature of his genius.
Manos creates a puzzle. He offers a massive reward to anyone who can pass a thread completely through the intricate, hidden spirals of a conch shell.
Minos knows only one mind on Earth can solve it. And Daedalus, perhaps driven by his own intellectual pride, takes the bait.
He drills a microscopic hole at the closed end of the shell, ties the thread to an ant, and puts the ant inside. The ant naturally navigates the spiral, pulling the thread all the way through.
The moment Minos sees it, he says, only Daedalus could do this, and sails to Sicily to kill him. Now, Minos ends up dying in the resulting conflict, so Daedalus survives.
He survives, yes. He outsmarted the king, he outsmarted the labyrinth, and he outsmarted gravity. But his intellect couldn't outsmart human nature, and it cost him his son.
It really is a devastating outcome.
So what does this all mean for you listening? We've explored blazing chariots, hospitality traps, rogue giants, and wax wings. But these sources are holding up a mirror to the exact same traps we fall into today.
The scenery changes, but the psychology is identical.
Exactly. Whether you're dealing with a new promotion, a sudden influx of wealth, or the mastery of a new technology, the core mechanics of human ambition haven't changed in 3,000 years. Excellence is highly prized, yes.
But the moment your success makes you feel invincible,
The moment you stop respecting the middle course, you are already falling.
that is the danger of believing your own hype. And there is one subtle detail hidden in these sources that I think frames this perfectly.
Oh, what's that?
Let's look back at Bellerophon and his winged horse, Pegasus. Bellerophon trying to wield his power for his own personal glory, forcing his way into Olympus, and it destroyed him.
Right, he was thrown back to Earth.
But Pegasus survives,
Yeah.
and the ancient poets report something incredible about what happens to the horse next. When Zeus, the king of the gods, needs to unleash his ultimate world-shaking power, it is Pegasus who carries the thunderbolts to him.
Wow. Wait, really?
Yes. It leaves us with a profound question to ponder in our own lives. Does a true enduring power only survive when we are willing to surrender it to a higher purpose, rather than wielding it purely for our own glory?
That is a fascinating thought. Because the second you convince yourself you no longer have to respect the gravity of your situation, well, that's exactly when gravity kicks in.